How many people in this room are entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs? Okay, half the room. So I think it's safe to say we're all sort of cut from the same cloth, right? The same sort of thing drives us. We don't like to fail, kind of make our own rules, stubborn. So I think being an entrepreneur is something that you're born with, right? So my story, my decisive story, I had a couple, but so I had a tech startup, which I talked about last month when I was here. And I owned a construction company for 20 years, so getting into the tech world was totally different to me. And had the tech company for 4 years, sold the construction company during those 4 years to keep funding the tech company. And long story short, it completely imploded. I lost 4 years, a lot of money. And the company that I built from the ground up and had for 20 years was gone. So at the time I was 33, 34, and I was starting all over again. So I started calling my friends in the construction world and started asking everybody, hey, you know, everybody knows me. I'm looking for a job. I don't want a handout, but if you need somebody, I'll work. So took a job with a friend of mine, also in the service-related construction industry. And at this point in my life, I'm saying to myself, I don't know if I want to be an entrepreneur again. And if I do, I need a break. I need a long break. Almost my mid-30s, starting all over, walked away from my relationship of 3 years. So I was starting everything over. So I'm going into this job thinking, all right, it's going to be temporary. I was going to go back to school and get into some other things. So I'm working with my buddy for not even a week, and he knows all about my previous tech company. It was a company to help small business owners in the service industry. And he loved it. I mean, everybody that I knew loved it. Just to let everybody know, it was a website like Yelp or Angie's List where the service provider could write a review about the customer, right? So all my friends that had service businesses loved it because we all had stories and people weren't getting paid and customers are a pain in the butt, yada, yada, yada. So I'm working for this guy for about a week, and it's a super hot day and we're on heavy machinery, and he starts talking to me at lunch and he goes, man, I really wish your startup would have made it. I said, yeah, obviously me too. And he said, no, I really liked it. And I said, no, I know. I said, you know, a lot of people in construction and the service industry liked it. And he said, no, I really wanted to see that thing go. He's like, I have so many bad stories. We have so many people owe us money and never pay. And I really wanted something that would help us. And he said, you know what, I'll give you a little bit of money. And he named a figure and he said, will that keep it going? Of course, a part of me is like, sure. But I said, you know what, I've known you for a long time. And I said, it's just not enough money. And taking that money would be like throwing a quarter in the ocean. And I would hate to take your money knowing it's not going to do anything. You might as well light the check on fire. So he says, I would love to be a part of something like that. I would love to be a part of something, not just from the ground up, but something that makes a difference for people. And I want to get out of this world, because for anybody who's been in the service industry or construction industry, it's very, very, very hard to make money. Rough business. And he says, I would love to do something like that. So while he's talking, the gears in my horrible brain are moving. And when I bought the domain name for my first tech startup, 2009, I bought the name. About 6 months later, I came up with another idea. And I always had that on the back burner, figuring if this makes money, I'll do another tech company. So while he's speaking to me, all I can think about is this my moment? I just told myself for a month that I don't want to be an entrepreneur anymore. or I need a long break. I need to work and pay to go back to school, put some money in the bank, and get everything back together. Or is this the moment where I go, I do it because I might not get this opportunity again. It could be 5 years from now, I'm still going to school part-time or whatever. So what do? So he's talking to me, and I got about a minute in my head, and he finishes his sentence, and I go, okay, here's the deal. You want to be a part of something, I have another idea. I'll tell you the idea, and if anybody knew him, you could ask him this, and he would tell you. I said, if you tell anybody, I will kill you. But if you want to go for a ride, if you want to go on the journey, I have another idea. I'll tell you right now. I'm going to go for it. And he says, without a doubt, let me know. So he is someone who also owns trucks. So I have a startup now. It's a navigation startup, kind of like a Waze. Does everybody, show of hands, everybody know what Waze is here? Right? So we provide the same type of information, but we do it in a way that nothing else does, right? So Waze, you're looking at a map, clicking buttons, typing in a message, whatever the case may be. Very heavy phone interaction. So I wanted to make something for commercial drivers where you're really not allowed to look at your phone at all. It's not safe at all, and the police heavily enforce using your phone while driving. Right, so my app, you press a button, record a message, we drop a pin on that spot, put a 10-mile radius umbrella, so when you enter that barrier, we instantly send that message to your phone and automatically play it to you. Right, so you don't even have to touch your phone. You just turn our app on when you drive. It sends a beacon like an airplane looking for a recording as you're driving, and when it finds one, it automatically plays it. So, knowing that he's a good fit as a customer, I tell him my idea. He falls in love right away. The dollar amount that he gave me to save my first startup, I knew was not going to be enough to start this. So, to wrap up, within 2 months, we sat with my attorney. We drew a partnership agreement. We started working pretty much this time last year. We launched the MVP this summer. We have a nice beta round of a good amount of users. We have a lot of associations very interested in having us come out and show their members. It's a big safety thing. So pretty much that's my story, right? I just want to let people know that, you know, as an entrepreneur, if anybody's shooting to start up a company or whatever the case may be, has a bad past or a failure. Everyone has a failure. So when you get to that fork in the road, don't be afraid to say, what the hell, I'll go for it again. That's my story.